The truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
You may be seated. Please state your name for the record. Spell your first and last names.
Christopher Rogers, CHRISTOPHER, ROGERS.
Dr.
Good morning.
Let me provide you with some instructions that I give to every witness in every case. The first, please sit back and relax. The second, please speak loudly. Everybody's got to be able to hear you, so it would help if you spoke in a little louder voice. Up the questioner, but in court it's important to hear the whole question first and then respond. Is that acceptable?
Yes, thank you.
Direct. Mr. Walgren?
Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning.
Sir, what do you do for a living?
I'm a Deputy Medical Examiner for Los Angeles County.
And what is a Deputy Medical Examiner?
I do autopsies in coroner's cases and determine cause and mode of death based on the findings.
And how long have you been a Deputy Medical Examiner?
Since 1988.
And your current position is what?
Chief of Forensic Medicine.
And doctor, can you describe for us what is forensic medicine?
Forensic medicine is the part of pathology that deals with coroner's cases. So, in other words, dealing with sudden, violent, or unexplained death.
And prior to being employed at the LA County Coroner's Office as a Deputy Medical Examiner, can you describe for us your educational background and training?
I attended medical school at the University of California, San Diego. I did pathology residency at Los Angeles County USC Medical Center. I trained in forensic pathology at Los Angeles County Coroner, and I'm board certified in forensic pathology.
Has your entire career been devoted to forensic pathology?
Yes.
And of course you are a medical doctor?
That's correct.
Then when you say the outside of a person, as a forensic medical examiner, what are you looking for in your conducting an autopsy on a given individual?
Well, I would be looking for any injuries that might be present or evidence of natural disease, or also any kind of identifying features like scars or tattoos.
And all of this is in pursuit of determining the cause and manner of death?
That's correct.
Now, you also mentioned, in addition to the outside of the body, you conduct forensic analysis of the internal organs. What are you looking for there, generally speaking?
In the internal organs, I would be looking for any abnormality or disease in the organs themselves, and then I would also collect specimens for supplemental testing, such as toxicology or criminalistic testing.
All right. And how many autopsies would you say you've personally handled or been present for in your career?
I would say several thousand.
And did you conduct the autopsy on the decedent, in this case, Michael Joseph Jackson?
Yes.
And does your autopsy report bear a particular case number that identifies it as being the report and findings related to the decedent, in this case, Mr. Jackson?
Yes, it does.
Okay, is that number 2009-04415?
Yes.
When did you conduct that autopsy, Dr. Rogers?
That was on June 26, 2009.
And going through the findings you made on June 26, 2009, let me ask you initially, on that day, June 26, were you able to definitively state a cause of death?
No.
And why not?
There wasn't anything obvious in the history or the autopsy examination that showed a cause of death.
Okay. Let me ask you about the general health of Mr. Jackson as related by you and your findings in the autopsy report. Generally speaking, how would you characterize the overall health of Mr. Jackson based on your autopsy findings?
I believe that he was healthier than the average person of his age.
And in your initial summary of findings, were there incidental findings that you made as to general conditions or health issues you identified regarding Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
And what were some of those findings, please?
He had an enlargement of the prostate gland, which meant that it was difficult to urinate, so he was retaining urine.
Okay.
He had vitiligo, which is a skin disorder. And then he also had...
Is that vitiligo, that's the depigmentation of the skin where, for example, an African American might have white splotches of skin?
Yes.
Okay.
And he had a polyp of his colon. And then we also sent portions of the autopsy to specialists in various areas. So the nervous system showed mild diffuse swelling. The lung examination showed some chronic inflammation and scarring in the lungs. The radiology examination showed an extra rib and also some arthritis. And then we did a dental examination which showed that there had been some root canal therapy and implant therapy. And we also did an anesthesiology consultation.
All right. And were there observations made as to a previous injury sustained in the scalp area?
Yes.
And regarding the scalp, what was observed?
There was an area of irregular pigmentation at about the top of the scalp.
Were you aware that his scalp had caught on fire many years prior?
Yes.
And that was through filming of a commercial where there was an accident that took place?
Yes.
Now, when you conducted this autopsy, did you know the height and weight of Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
And how tall was he and how much did he weigh, please?
He was 5'9" and weighed 136 pounds.
And what is the body mass index?
That's a single number that you can calculate from height and weight to give you a general idea of whether the person is underweight, normal weight, or overweight.
And with Mr. Jackson's height, his weight being 136 pounds, where did he fall on the body mass index?
He was within the normal range.
He was, however, a very thin individual. Is that fair to say? Or a thin individual?
Yes, he was thinner than most, I believe.
But according to the body mass index, he fell within what would be described as normal.
That's correct.
And was a photograph or photographs taken documenting Mr. Jackson's general physical condition on that date, which also shows his general weight of his body, at least visually?
Yes.
And I have a photograph taken at the time of autopsy. Defense in the court has previously seen it. It has been blacked out in the genital area, Your Honor. May this be marked Peoples 206 for identification?
Yes.
Dr. Rogers, showing you what's been marked as Peoples 206 for identification. Does this bear the coroner's case number 209-04415?
Yes.
And this was taken on June 26, 2009?
Well, I'm having a little trouble reading the number. It may either be the 26th or the 25th.
Actually, what is that date reference?
Well, to me that looks like 6/25/2009.
Actually, looks like the wrong date is on there. Looks like 8/25/2009, doesn't it?
Well, it does look a little bit like an 8.
Was this a picture taken of Michael Jackson's, at the time of Michael Jackson's autopsy, bearing the number 2009-04415?
Yes.
And does this accurately depict his body and visually depict his weight on the date of June 26, 2009 when you conducted the autopsy?
Yes.
Now, in regard to your evaluation of the internal organs of Mr. Jackson, I'd like to ask you about his heart. Were you able to draw conclusions related to his heart, whether he had any heart disease and things of that nature?
He did not have heart disease.
Were there any abnormalities noted by you regarding his heart?
No.
Did you make any observations regarding his coronary arteries?
The coronary arteries did not show any atherosclerosis.
Was that unusual?
In this context, yes.
What do you mean by that in this context?
Well, he was 50 years old. At the age of 50, almost everybody has some atherosclerosis in their coronary arteries, but he didn't have any.
What is atherosclerosis?
That's a buildup of fat and cholesterol on the walls of the blood vessels.
Okay, and Mr. Jackson did not have any buildup of this fat or cholesterol on the walls. Is that accurate?
Yes, in the heart.
In the heart, and that was unusual based on his age.
Yes.
Was that a factor that led you to conclude that, generally speaking, he was a healthy individual for his age?
Yes.
Now, did you observe any trauma or any natural disease in conducting your autopsy that would have led you to conclude that that was the cause of death?
No.
Did you make observations regarding his esophagus?
Yes.
And was his esophagus intact throughout?
Yes, it was.
Did you see any white liquid substance in either his stomach, his throat, his esophagus, or his mouth?
No.
Could we have an explanation of what is an esophagus, please?
Dr. Rogers, what is an esophagus?
The esophagus is the tube that connects the mouth with the stomach, so when you swallow, that's what the food goes through.
From the mouth down to the stomach?
Yes.
And it was intact and that you did not observe any milky fluid in the esophagus?
That's correct.
Or in the stomach?
That's also correct.